everybody. I'm a little tired tonight. I'm going to keep it extraordinarily short. Welcome to studentloanjustice.org. We are waiting for the dust to settle in the new Congress right now. We'll see what happens. The interesting thing that I saw today that I want to talk a little bit about was the Republicans are now have started a new committee, the committee to investigate the weaponization of the federal government against the citizens or something like that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how student loans have been weaponized. Unlike every other type of loan in this country's history, student loans have been uniquely stripped of bankruptcy protections, of statutes of limitations, of truth in lending laws, and a mafia-like collection regime has been created, which can turn a defaulted loan into hundreds or even thousands of percent its original value. That's pretty much weaponized. These loans have been turned into a cudgel. You know, I like to say often, been saying it for many years now, if you give a government agency a toothpick of power, they will swing it around like a broadsword. Student loans have been weaponized against the citizens. Make no mistake. Now, are we going to see the Republicans? And by the way, if you're new to the group, welcome. We're the oldest, largest true grassroots group in the country fighting for student loan justice. We're neither Democratic nor Republicans. We're neither left nor right. All we care about is student loans. If you're a Republican or a Democrat, no matter what your political leanings are, you're very welcome here. We tell the truth on this group. I don't think, and so having said that, I don't think we're going to see the Republicans investigate the student loan program. The Republicans have been largely defending the student loan program over many years and decades. I could say the same thing about the Democrats as well, by the way, but right now we're talking about the Republicans, and the Republicans say they're going to investigate the weaponization of the federal government. So what does that mean? I think they're going to use this committee to investigate like Hunter Biden's laptop and like the, Filegate or whatever the new controversy is over declassifying files and stuff like that. Republicans are full of shit, guys. The Democrats are terrible. The Republicans are terrible. But, the hypocrisy, I have to say, it stings a little more watching the Republicans and what they say versus what they do. It's just disgusting. Student loans have been weaponized, and the Department of Education has been weaponized. So I could go on and on and on about the real harm that these predatory loans have done to the citizenry. But here's a very to the point on that point. The Department of Education has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars literally on weapons, on shotguns and ammunition and armored personnel vehicles. That's just true. Like, why would that in what universe would almost any federal agencies, except for like maybe the Justice Department and the DOD, like, why would any agency be stockpiling weapons? Why would they do that? Like, does the Department of Agriculture stockpile weapons? I kind of don't think so. Maybe for like killing coyotes or something, but it just makes no sense. Here's another real world example that is actually happening. A few years back, a federal SWAT team rolled up on a guy named Akers, Claude Akers. Last name Akers, Akers. You can Google it. Federal marshals in Texas rolled up with a no-knock warrant and arrested this guy, Akers, in the suburbs of Houston, Texas. And believe it or not, this was at the root of it for a $1,500 federal student loan. Google it. I actually did a good interview with Tom Hartman about this back in 2016, I believe. Unfortunately, it was posted on RT, which is Russia Today, And all the RT stuff has been taken off the internet. So you can't see it, but you can see other versions of the story. What I'm saying is true, guys. So, here we are. We had our best chance ever to get bankruptcy returned to student loans last session. We failed. We failed on that. And I think that was obviously due to the bad politics, but we could have fought a lot harder, guys. We on this group. In fact, what happened last session, although we can claim some remarkable achievements that look great on paper, and that's true, the loan cancellation we saw Biden do started, that whole concept started on this group. At least technically, we also got the Department of Education to stop opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court. That's also true. That started on this group. I kid you not. But it's fake. It's disgusting. It's the worst sort of big government. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you is that pretty much our worst fear that we had last congressional session is pretty much what's happened. So they failed to return bankruptcy protections, and instead they foisted a fake, doomed to fail student loan cancellation gimmick on us. And as a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy rights that the founding fathers called for in the Constitution, that should frankly never have been taken away from student loans in the first place. So this is exactly what our opposition wanted, guys. I have to be honest. The collection industry, the servicers, even private banks like SoFi and so forth, they really wanted these loans turned back on. Whatever it takes, a little fake little loan cancellation gimmick, a little sop to Cerberus, as they say in Greece, as a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy rights that should have never been taken away. If you're new to the group, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, guys. It's a terrible thing to have to do. But we've been looking at this problem for many, many years and decades. And I can tell you that nothing good is going to happen with your student loans or with mine unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned. So that did not happen last session. It was the Democrats' one shot to make good on a decades-long promise that they've been making again and again and again to return bankruptcy to student loans. They betrayed us. So we're essentially walking in the wilderness, guys. As I said, we're still waiting for the dust to settle this session to see what comes of it. I've got some hope with the Republicans, quite frankly. I think that there's a chance if they can get past all this nonsense palace intrigue in Congress, which is a very real concern. But folks, I would tell everybody, if you're like the large majority of all student loan borrowers, whenever they try and turn this loan scam back on, that's exactly what it is. It's a scam. Almost no one is going to pay. My best guess is that 80% of all borrowers will not resume paying on their loans. If you fall in that category, I would urge you to, speaking of weapons, bulletproof yourself. Bulletproof yourself financially. It may get ugly over these next months and years. So we don't know. I hope it doesn't go that way. As I said, we are fighting very hard to get the right of bankruptcy return, and which will compel meaningful student loan cancellation ultimately. Nothing good is going to happen until we get the bankruptcy rights back, though, guys. That's the truest thing I'll say. Spread the word about this group, by the way, if you would, please. So I'm going to just quickly look for any questions or comments you may have here tonight. As I said, I'm going to keep it very short tonight, hopefully less than like 10 or 15 minutes. A couple of announcements. We are going to be featured on MSNBC again on January 15th. It'll be sometime in the evening. This is a documentary that you can see below. It's called Lone Wolves. Very strong film. I urge you to watch it. The biggest action item I have for you right now, besides bulletproofing yourself in the coming weeks, months, and like between now and I'd say summertime is a good timeline for you on that. Help us fight. So get ready to start doing our daily actions. We're going to be rolling them out. My guess is that we'll start doing them every day, probably nearly every day, sometime in February. I think the path will be clear at that point. So the other thing, I have to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please donate at this time. It is absolutely critical. We survive only. By the way, we're the largest student loan group in the country, at least on paper. So fundraising should not be hard for us. But ladies and gentlemen, I am unfortunately here to tell you that we will cease to exist if our donations do not pick up. We only need a couple $1,000s, $2,500 a month or so to do what we do. But that's not happening right now, guys. And I think it would be a great tragedy if this group was to have to cease operations. I don't want to do that. And if you agree, if you appreciate all that we've gotten done, all that we need to get done, I hope that you will at least make a small donation. Particularly if you've never donated before. To everybody out there who's been donating, our core supporters, I applaud, salute, and thank you. But we need more people helping. Like, we could be done right now, ladies and gentlemen, but for the fact that more people in our group, people who are already in our group, did not do nearly enough to help. So I would also say, spread the word about this group right here. All the other groups are out to lunch, ladies and gentlemen. I can't speak for them. I don't know what's going on with those guys. One of those other groups is just straight up corrupted. The other one is frankly suspicious. None of the other groups are fighting for the return of bankruptcy rights, guys. And I'm telling you, it lies at the core of this whole entire thing. As long as bankruptcy remains gone, we can beg Biden or any other president all day long to cancel loans. And what we're going to get is this nonsense like what we already got. That's the way this is going to go. I don't want to go that way. I want these loans gone. I want them gone. Do you not also want these loans gone? Well, if you do, you got to help us fight. And that's just the truest thing that I will say here tonight. I wish we didn't even have to be here anymore. If we would have fought just a little bit harder last congressional session, we would have gotten over the top, and it would be a new day for us. We could look forward and get on with our lives, knowing that we have the floor, the leverage of bankruptcy that every other borrower has for every other type of loan. That's essentially the domino that needs to fall in order for this whole stinking lending catastrophe to work itself out. So I would say spread the word about this group here. Word of mouth is really the strongest thing that we have. We get lucky in the media from time to time. As I said, we're going to be on MSNBC this coming like Sunday or something, whatever the 15th is. We cannot count on the media, ladies and gentlemen. 95, if not more, % of the media, it's swamp. It's swamp media. It's stuff that's seeded by our opposition. Word of mouth is by far and away the strongest and in many ways the only real power that we have. There's true strength in numbers, ladies and gentlemen. True strength in numbers. Don't forget that. But you've got to step up and you got to own this problem. And that's just the truest thing I will say. So yeah, you want to talk about the weaponization of the federal government? Let's talk about student loans. That should be first and foremost. Hey, Vanjie on Rouge with us tonight. Hey, Vanjie. Vanjie has felt the pointy end of the federal government stick with the federal student loan program. She can tell you. Vanjie says, set up automatic monthly donation through PayPal from the petition link, even $10 a month or more if you can. Thank you, Vanjie. I hate asking for money, but thank you for doing it for me. Yeah, even if like 300 people donated $10 a month, we'd pretty much never have to fundraise again, and that would it's not hard, guys, not hard. Hey, Joanna from Florida says, I have spread the word about this group yet again today. Yeah, keep going, guys. I mean, this group is where it's at, guys. If there was another group out there, fighting this fight, the right fight, fighting for actual student loan justice, not pretend, not like saying they're fighting for students, but actually using their group as hunting grounds to prey upon their members and like rope them into loan consolidations and loan rehabilitation and debt coaching and all this nonsense. If there was other good groups out there, I would join that group and I wouldn't be here. So, but there's not. It's us. We're it. We are it, ladies and gentlemen. And those of you who have been with our group for any length of time and helping us fight, you guys know we are the veterans, and you guys saw up front what we were able to achieve with I'm just going to say a very small core group of activists. I'd say on any given day, less than 200 people were helping us. And quite honestly, I'd say the sort of diehards in this group probably number less than maybe a couple 3 dozen or so. We need you. We need you to fight this battle, which is your battle. When you help, we can solve this problem in a fortnight, probably sooner. So, okay, guys. One other comment from Vanjie I see here. There's actually probably a bunch of comments that I may not be able to get to tonight. Vanjie says, bankruptcy isn't terrible if you have no other solution. It's a lifesaver. It's a relief afforded us by the U.S. Constitution. Well, that's right, Vanjie. I mean, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. You know, it's the stigma of bankruptcy that has been probably our biggest challenge over the years. Because nobody wants to go out and march in the streets and say, give me bankruptcy. Like, I can't think of an analogy, but that's like, nobody wants to do that. But bankruptcy is there for a very good reason. Quite frankly, I don't think many people, maybe even no one, will actually have to file once we get the right return. Just having the leverage of bankruptcy return is by far and away enough power back on our side to compel very meaningful, widespread, frankly, maybe even total federally owned student loan cancellation. Because everybody in Washington, D.C. knows what I know. And what I know is this lending system is catastrophically failed. There's no saving it. And in my humble opinion, there should be no saving it. Even before this pandemic, 60% of all borrowers were not paying on their loans. That's before COVID. That's going to go up to 80% or more. So this lending system is done. It's finished. The pandemic was the nail in the coffin, but this could have a very good ending, ladies and gentlemen, which starts with the return of bankruptcy rights. Or this could have a very bad ending, ladies and gentlemen, where, the loans get canceled, as they absolutely will, but that will only be through the death of the borrowers. So you will spend the rest of your life under the predatory weight of this debt. And I don't want that outcome. I would kind of like to have a few days on Earth without the burden of student loans on my shoulder. And I hope that you feel the same way. So nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. But it's a very important, constitutionally enshrined power that the citizens must have. The founding fathers wouldn't have put it in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army, ahead of the power to coin currency and create a judiciary in the U.S. Constitution. Not the Bill of Rights, the Constitution itself. There's a lot writing on this battle, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to put too much, I don't want to oversell this, but I'm telling you guys, if they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, if they can weaponize other loans like they've weaponized student loans, they will. They will do it. They will weaponize all consumer debt if they possibly can. Credit cards, medical debt, you name it. If you're not uber wealthy, like the Sackler family or something, then there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C. and Wall Street and other places who would love to make your debt non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. And that would essentially conquer and enslave this country. And those are John Adams's words, not mine. So, okay, guys, I will be back on Friday for sure. Still filling in for our Fearless co-leader, Ed McKinley, tonight. I may be back tomorrow. I'll probably do a quick live stream tomorrow. But this is where it's at, guys. This is the fight, and you came to the right place. And now is the opening moves on the chessboard for this congressional session. So it's important that we get on the board. This MSNBC thing on January 15th is a big part of that. You can see it on Peacock right now, by the way, Lone Wolves. You can see it. Just search for it. Last thing again, so I just have to repeat, please donate, guys. I don't want to go under. I don't want to disappear. I think it's important that, and I hope you agree. The only thing that's important is whether or not you agree that we as a group should continue or not. So if you believe in this group and you believe that we should continue, then just please make a donation so I can shut up about it. All right, everyone. Good luck. I'll see you soon. God bless and Godspeed.